Good morning, everyone. I firstly wanted to begin by thanking ECA for the opportunity to put forward an agricultural perspective on energy and electricity. I like to spend my time, which is obviously very short with the dings that come so rapidly, on just setting some context around the farming sector and electricity, some challenges around affordable electricity, and skim over some of the opportunities as my fellow panelists have put up some very good proposals that that's part of my presentation, so I'll skip through that very quickly. Before I start, I just want to give you an overview of the association. We represent close to 8,000 farming members across New South Wales and across all types of farming. We represent only farmers and not agribusinesses or processors. As such, we represent mainly small businesses. So people generally underestimate the farming sector's exposure to electricity. Certain farming activities have significant exposure to electricity prices. For example, a typical small to medium irrigator has electricity costs of around $100,000 to $200,000 per annum, and a typical dairy farmer has an exposure of around $50,000 to $60,000 per annum. Just as an example, one of our farmers near Dubbo got an estimate for electricity that saw her prices jump from around $40,000 3 years ago to about $90,000 most recently. Her only solution was to stop paying her superannuation contributions, and there's a real human element to all of this, even from the business perspective. The future of agriculture would add more challenges to providing affordable and reliable electricity in the regions. This idealistic view of farming with expansive paddocks, the odd herd of sheep plodding along, won't be the picture of farming in the future. Horticulture will be more intensive, undertaken in climate-controlled, closed-looped environments, with most activities being automated. Even broadacre farming will rely on robotics, remote monitoring, and autonomous processes. This will be a step change in energy use and will mean significant electrification of the sector. A scary thought is whether infrastructure providers, and for us that's mainly essential energy, is aware of the potential step change in rural electricity demand. And at the moment, I think the answer is no. So what's contributing to the rural users' electricity bill, and what are some of the challenges of providing affordable electricity? Around 50% of the regional costs is infrastructure charges, and unfortunately the policy debate in the last couple of years have basically ignored this. The current policy focus is on environmental costs, which seems ludicrous given the fact that it's 6 to 7% of total costs, and generation costs. Regional users need solutions to high cost of infrastructure, and again, there were some very good solutions put forward by the panel members. The next big concern, and which is one of my pet concerns, is the uncompetitive nature of retail markets. And regional electricity markets are particularly uncompetitive. We did some very basic analysis on the percentage difference between standing market offers and the best advertised offer, and we found that in regional areas, users can only achieve a 32% discount on the standing offer. In urban users can achieve between 40 to 50% discounts. This lack of competition does not only affect prices, but also innovation. And just as an aside, I think in introducing neg and neg obligations, we hope that it doesn't entrench the position of the incumbents and the gentailers. So coming to the theme of this session, new markets and new services. Firstly, I was a little bit surprised by sentiments yesterday about the need for extensive government intervention in all aspects of the electricity market. As an association, we haven't abandoned our faith in markets and believe new platforms and services will arise from competitive markets. And I think that's the key phrase, competitive markets. Our current problem is not due to the failure of competitive markets, it's the fact that we do not have competitive markets. This is where government intervention should be focused on. So now to the first development. I think end users on the most won't become big data experts with respect to electricity, and equally I don't fret that we will be flooded by data that will be all too much for us to handle. New market entrants will use big data generated by smart meters and other devices to find the types of customers who can benefit from energy efficiency, demand response, and investment in local generation. And Innova is a great example of that. The number crunching won't be left to consumers to do, and there are already startups who are exploring entering the New South Wales market for agriculture to do just this. These same market entrants will establish bespoke retail opportunities, pulling users with complementary demand profiles to reduce generation and transmission costs. The second opportunities. Farmers are likely to lead on issues like the utilisation of distributed energy resources, microgrids, and even potentially transactive grids. So the map behind me is a map of the utilisation of solar PVs across New South Wales. The areas in the purple are the areas that demonstrate that solar utilisation is between 40 to 50%. All of them are in rural areas. Most areas in Sydney, by contrast, are around 10%. This provides opportunities to use distributed energy resources, demand management to reduce peak demand, network costs, and reduce emissions. This requires significant work with network providers. As previously mentioned, there's only one little pipe to move electricity in and out. And also work on network economics and regulations to create the right incentives to make this happen. The final development, we will have access to more electricity data whether retailers come to the party on smart meters or not. Good, I'm just about to wrap up as well, so that's perfect timing. In the absence of smart meters, we will utilise more cost-effective and user-friendly behind-the-meter monitoring that will ensure that we can take control of our own energy destiny, change our energy consumption behaviour, and make sensible decisions on capital investments, and finally, right-size our local generation assets. Thank you.